Good morning, dear students. Hope you all are fine in your home. The world is suffering from a pandemic disease called COVID-19. So, we have started the online classes from our home. And it is just a small step to continue your academic session. And I hope you are safe at home. So please stay at home and stay safe. And today we are going to talk about book name LTC. The full name is Learning to Communicate. Learning to Communicate. Learning to Communicate. I'm going to talk the LTC book of 8th class. 8th class. Okay, 8th class. It is a literature book of English subjects, Learning to Communicate. Main purpose of this book is to give knowledge about the literature as well as to enable the students to speak the English correctly or to develop the communication skill. And that is learning to communicate. In learning to communicate, we will aware about the literature and the things which we are studying literature, like about the poetry, about the stories, about the biographies, about the autobiographies, about the one-act play, about the etc. So generally these things are in this literature book that is Learning to Communicate. So if you talk about the Learning to Communicate, there are altogether 8 units. There are altogether 8 units. 8 units are in Learning to Communicate, and each unit has 4 lessons. 4 lessons containing poetry, stories, biographies. It is 4 lessons, and today we'll talk about the unit first. Unit 1, that is Wit and Humour. That is Wit and Humour. One more important thing is there what? Each unit has a main topic, and the lessons which are belong to the particular unit are totally concerned with that main topic. Like unit first is Wit and Humour, and whatever the lessons are here, just related with wit and humor. That's why first thing to understand is wit and humor. What do you mean by wit and humor? So here we first understand what is wit and humor. So actually wit and humor are the literature term. It is a literature term. It is a literature term. So you can say terms of literature. They are wit and generally wit and humor are used at the same time. We have heard about the sense of humor. Sense of humor. Sense of humor. This is very popular one. Sense of humor. Generally, when you watch the comedy movie, when you watch the fun movie, the movies are based on comedy. And we hear this type of word, sense of humor. Some actors have a good sense of humor. Some persons have a good sense of humor. Sense of humor means actually something told in a funny way. Something told in a funny way. Or when you combine the words, when you combine the ideas, and that creates the fun, that is sense of humor. So some person have a good sense of humor. But we are talking about wit and humor here. So if we talk about the wit and humor, let's see here about wit and humor. So what do you mean by wit? So wit generally means idea, the technique to combine the words or ideas. Combine the words or ideas. That is wit. And when you talk about humor, when you talk about humor, it is fun. It is fun, or wit creates the humor. Actually, it creates the humor. It creates the fun. That is wit and humor. It is fun or comedy also you can say. But comedy and humor is little bit different. In humor, slightly smile comes on our face. In comedy, we laugh loudly. That is comedy. But in humor, slightly smile comes on our face. So wit and humor. So wit and humor generally used at the same time means the ideas which creates the fun. That is humor. Wit and humor. Okay. Now see here, wit and humor. Sometimes in our daily life also, when you give the answers of the questions and that answers which is really based to make up fun, that is humor, or the way in which we combine the words, that is wit. For example, we already know about the Bollywood actor Salman and Shah Rukh. And in past, the relation of Salman and Shah Rukh was not so good. And generally, the media were asking about their relations. So when Shah Rukh Khan was asked that whatever relation was with Salman, or how your relation was going on, and what the Shah Rukh Khan gave the answer that our relation was going very well and we are planning to give a baby together. So actually that is wit and humor. That is wit and humor. Okay. त्यसले हाम्रो मुखमा के गरोस् चेहरामा मुस्कान आउँछ त्यो छ humor. अब हामीले ध्यान दिनुपर्ने कुरा के छ in section 1 in a unit first there is a section 1 called the name of the section 1 is Two Geniuses. This is the name of the section 1, Two Geniuses. Okay, the topic is two genius. So first of all, we must know what you mean by genius. So genius means a person who has an extraordinary quality. Extraordinary quality. That is genius. Or who can face the new problem. That such a person has a genius person. Or you can say the person who has a high presence of mind. High presence of mind. Such a person is a genius person. So the first unit that is all about the two geniuses. These two geniuses. And actually, everybody knows about the Albert Einstein. Everybody knows about the Albert Einstein. So Albert Einstein was called the father of modern physics. Everybody knows about the Albert Einstein. He was a scientist, Albert Einstein. Okay, and it is about this story is about Albert Einstein and his driver. Named Hans. So Albert Einstein was a professor of physics, and we already know that he had given the theory of many. He had given theory in physics. That Albert Einstein, and he was very popular in his day. Still, he is very popular. But when he was alive, he was very popular, and during the lectures, to give the lecture, he used to visit the many universities, many colleges, and many places. So actually, the story begins from the Albert Einstein, from the introduction of Albert Einstein. That Albert Einstein was a physicist. He had given the theory about many things in physics, and we all know that because of him, there was an invention of atom bomb, Albert Einstein, because of him. And during his lecture, he had visited many universities and places. Once what happened? He was going university to give the lecture. He was going some kind of university to give the lecture with his driver Hans. I had already told you, Hans was always with him. They were always together. So once the Albert Einstein and his driver were going towards the university, and Albert Einstein had to give lecture about the physics. But that day he was very tired. He was very tired and he didn't like to give any kind of lecture. So he just shared the things with his driver Hans that I could not like to give the lecture today. What to do, but I had to do. But he was unable because of tiredness. And his driver Hans was always with him, suggested him that he could give the lecture in a place of Einstein. And actually, what was the matter? Hans suggested him that I could give the lecture instead of you because I had remembered whatever you used to tell in other universities. I could give the lecture, whatever you told. Einstein was agreed, but Einstein told him, if anybody asked you the questions about the physics, then what would you give the answer? There might be the problem, but Hans told that no problem would be there. I could give the lecture as you used to give there. So eventually, Albert Einstein was ready, and he gave the permission to Hans that the day Hans could give the lecture instead of Albert Einstein. So they finally reached the place, and actually nobody knew the Albert Einstein. In those days, such medias were not good. Such a TV or newspaper were not so common like today. So the face of Albert Einstein was totally unknown about the people in that university. Okay, so Hans went up to that munch mathi gaera, Hans started to give the lecture, and everybody assumed that he was the Albert Einstein. So he gave the lecture as Albert Einstein used to give, and nobody felt even for a second that he was not Albert Einstein. But when the lecture was finished, one of the professor from that university raised the hand and said that, "Sir, please, I had a question for you." Now the Hans thought that Albert Einstein, who was sitting among the professor, thought that our truth would be disclosed now. Okay, our truth will be revealed now. But Hans was also a genius person. How he was a genius? What he told there? He told that, "Oh, this question, very easy question is this. Even my driver could answer it." And who was the driver? Albert Einstein was the driver in reality. So Albert Einstein stood there and gave the answer very easily. But everybody thought that, wow, his driver was such a genius. And what about the Albert Einstein? And everybody gave the great applause. They started to clap. So actually, that is the genius. It's a genius. It's the matter of genius. That is the presence of mind. So the driver Hans had a great presence of mind. That's why he at a time gave the answer that even my driver could give the answer. And it is a wit. This is the example of wit. And the reader, we people, understood that he was in reality Hans. And that's why on our face the smile comes. That is humor. Wit and humor. Okay, thank you very much for listening my lecture. That is the first class of LTC, Two Geniuses, and hope you understand very well. Thank you.